I want to start by exploring the profound act of waiting. Waiting is often seen as passive, but in reality, it is an active, complex, and deeply emotional experience. When I say I waited for you, I'm not just talking about time passing. I'm talking about hope, about a commitment to a future that had not yet arrived, but that I believed in fiercely. Waiting for someone to be ready to embrace parenthood, to share a vision of family, to walk alongside me in that journey, is a decision steeped in love, but also layered with uncertainty and sacrifice. Psychologically, waiting is a paradox. It requires patience and trust, but it also demands vulnerability and resilience. It means holding space for both your own desires and the realities of another person's readiness or lack thereof. The tension is in that liminal space, the space between who you are now and who you might become. It's a place of hope mingled with doubt. And in that place, I made choices that shaped my life in profound ways. Philosophically, waiting touches on some of the deepest questions about time, agency, and destiny. We often think of time as linear, something we can measure and control. But in waiting, time becomes elastic. It stretches and contracts depending on our emotions, our fears, our hopes. Waiting for someone else to be ready means surrendering some control over your own timeline, trusting that your patience will eventually bear fruit. This is not a passive surrender, but an active engagement with the unknown, a willingness to hold your life lightly while still holding on. In my experience, waiting was not just about the external circumstances, about whether my partner was ready, but also about an internal negotiation with myself. Could I be patient enough? Could I tolerate the ambiguity? Could I reconcile my own ticking biological clock with my partner's readiness or hesitation? These questions are deeply personal, yet universal. They echo the silent struggles of many who find themselves caught between their own dreams and the realities of relationships. There is also a cultural dimension to this waiting. Society often tells us that time is of the essence when it comes to motherhood, that biology imposes a strict deadline, but love, commitment, and readiness don't always align neatly with that deadline. The waiting becomes a site of tension between societal expectations and personal realities. It challenges us to rethink what it means to be patient and what it means to be ready. Sometimes waiting feels like a test of endurance. Other times it feels like a profound act of faith. But here's the crux. Waiting is not simply about delaying life or putting dreams on hold. It is a way of engaging with life's uncertainties with courage and intentionality. To wait is to hold a possibility gently, even when the future is unclear. It is a form of love that is both selfless and self-aware, a balancing act between hope and acceptance. As we reflect on the act of waiting, I invite you to consider this. Waiting reveals much about how we understand time, love, and our own agency. It is not a passive state, but a dynamic space where hope and reality meet. And in that meeting lies both the pain and the power of waiting. As the years unfolded, the reality of lost time began to weigh heavily on me. Waiting, once an act of hope and love, transformed into a quiet reckoning with the dreams that seemed to slip further away. It's a complex and often painful experience to watch your own aspirations move beyond reach, especially when those dreams are intertwined with something as deeply personal as motherhood. Psychologically, this loss is not just about what didn't happen, but about the collision between expectation and reality. We create narratives about our lives, blueprints for what we believe should be. The idea of becoming a mother, for many, is not just a biological fact, but an identity, a future that shapes how we see ourselves. When that identity remains unfulfilled, it triggers a grief that is both tangible and difficult to articulate. This grief is compounded by the subtle, persistent question that lingers beneath the surface. What if I had acted differently? What if I hadn't waited? These counterfactuals haunt the mind, pulling us into a labyrinth of regret and what could have beens. Yet the mind also wrestles with loyalty to the partner, to the relationship, to the love that once made waiting feel like a promise rather than a sacrifice. This inner conflict creates a tension that is hard to escape. Philosophically, this moment challenges our understanding of time and agency in profound ways. Time is often framed as a resource, something we can budget, manage, or invest. But in the realm of human experience, time also carries an irreversible quality. The passage of years cannot be reclaimed, and with it, certain possibilities close. This brings into focus the bittersweet nature of life's finite horizon, urging us to confront the reality that some doors, once closed, do not open again. In this light, the experience of lost time is not just personal, but existential. It forces you to grapple with the limits of control we have over our own lives. We are reminded that life is not always a matter of choice, but also of circumstance, of waiting for others, of external factors beyond our command. This awareness can be disorienting, but also profoundly humanizing. Yet within this recognition lies an invitation. The invitation is to honor the complexity of our emotions, to allow ourselves to feel regret without being consumed by it, to acknowledge loss without surrendering hope. It's about making peace with the path that brought us here, even if it is not the one we envisioned. This is not resignation, but a form of wisdom, a way to reclaim agency by embracing reality fully. So, as I stand here reflecting on the years spent waiting, I realize that lost time is not simply time wasted. It is time lived with intention, even amid uncertainty. It is a testament to love's complexity and to the resilience required to navigate life's unpredictable rhythms. Reaching the age of 40 without having children is a moment of profound reckoning, a threshold where dreams and realities converge with undeniable clarity. It is a point at which time's relentless passage becomes impossible to ignore, and the weight of unfulfilled desires presses deeply into one's sense of self. This moment is not merely about age or biology. It is an emotional and psychological confrontation with what might have been and what now must be accepted. There is a distinct vulnerability in standing at this crossroads. It is an invitation to face the truth that some hopes may never materialize in the way we imagined. Psychologically, this realization can evoke a complex array of feelings: grief, sadness, anger, and even shame. Society often frames motherhood as an essential milestone for women, and when that path remains unrealized, it can feel like a personal failure, an unspoken inadequacy. This internalized narrative can be harsh, and it is often fueled by cultural expectations that equate womanhood with motherhood. But beneath these feelings lies something deeper, the challenge of self-worth. When life doesn't align with the blueprint we crafted, it's natural to question our value and purpose. Yet, this moment also calls for a radical re-examination of identity. Who are we, if not defined by traditional markers like motherhood? What does it mean to be a whole, fulfilled person outside of those roles? Philosophically, reaching 40 without children asks us to wrestle with the concept of acceptance. Acceptance not as passive resignation, but as an active, courageous engagement with reality. It is a call to embrace the life we have, with its unique texture and potential, rather than the life we once dreamed of. This process is deeply existential, confronting the fundamental human tension between desire and limitation, between aspiration and fact. In this space, there is also an opportunity for profound growth. The emotional pain of unmet expectations can catalyze a journey towards self-discovery and self-compassion. We begin to see that our worth is not contingent on fulfilling a specific role, but on the fullness of our experience, our capacity to love and create meaning in varied forms. This shift does not erase the sorrow, but it transforms it into a wellspring of resilience and depth. It's important to recognize that this transition is rarely linear or smooth. The path toward acceptance can be fraught with setbacks, moments of despair, and the ongoing dialogue between hope and reality. But with each step, there is a reclaiming of agency, choosing to live fully and authentically in the present rather than being tethered to what was lost. As I reflect on this milestone, I realize that reaching 40 without children is not an end, but a profound beginning, a moment to redefine what it means to live a meaningful, purposeful life. It challenges us to expand our understanding of family, love, and legacy beyond biological ties. In the aftermath of waiting, loss, and reckoning, there lies a profound and often overlooked question. How do we find strength beyond motherhood? How do we reclaim our sense of purpose and self-love when a chapter we envisioned remains unwritten? This question invites us into a deeper conversation about identity, meaning, and the human capacity for resilience. Psychologically, redefining oneself beyond traditional roles is both a challenge and an opportunity. Society often frames motherhood as the pinnacle of fulfillment for women, casting shadows on those who do not follow that path. This cultural narrative can feel like a cage, limiting how we see our own worth and potential. But the human psyche is remarkably adaptable, capable of reshaping meaning and expanding identity in ways that honor both what was lost and what remains possible. Philosophically, this process is an invitation to embrace a broader vision of what it means to live a meaningful life. It challenges the notion that our value is tied to a singular outcome or role. Instead, it calls for a recognition that purpose is multifaceted and can be found in a variety of experiences, relationships, creativity, contribution, and self-exploration. In practical terms, this means cultivating a relationship with oneself that is grounded in compassion and curiosity rather than judgment. It means asking, who am I beyond the labels society has placed on me? What are the parts of myself that I have neglected because I was waiting for another's readiness, for another's timing? This inward exploration can reveal strengths and passions that were always present, but perhaps overshadowed by the intensity of unmet expectations. There is also a communal aspect to this journey. Finding strength beyond motherhood often involves redefining what family and connection mean. It may mean building chosen families, nurturing friendships, mentoring others, or investing in causes that resonate deeply. These connections provide not only support, but also a sense of belonging and legacy that transcends biology. Importantly, this path is not about erasing grief or pretending loss does not matter. Rather, it is about integrating that grief into a larger story, a story of survival, transformation, and self-empowerment. This integration is a radical act of self-love, where we honor all parts of our experience and allow them to inform our growth. At its core, this journey invites a shift from scarcity to abundance, from defining ourselves by what we lack to recognizing the fullness of what we have and can create. It asks us to hold complexity, to live with paradox, and to embrace the uncertainty that life inevitably brings. As I stand here today, I am reminded that the power to redefine ourselves lies within us. It is a choice to move forward with courage, to write new narratives that reflect our truth, and to claim joy and meaning on our own terms.